Hi everyone, this is JelArts and I'm back with another video for you, and this time I'm doing a pencil crayon drawing, a time lapse of the whole process, starting with the sketching to the inking and the coloring. And I'm just sketching with a red Pilot Color Eno pencil crayon. Not pencil crayon, it's like a mechanical pencil and it has colored lead and it's erasable, and I like to sketch in color first and to go over it in regular pencil afterwards, just because the regular pencil is a lot darker than the red pencil and you can refine the details afterwards like really well because of the contrast between the two different pencils. And I really wanted to make her hair kind of have a lot of volume and have like a nice big braid going down the side. This was mostly just to practice using Prismacolor Premier pencil crayons because they blend so well. I find them hard to control. So I was just experimenting a lot with this drawing, trying out different techniques and different colors for the skin tone. For this one, instead of actually using a regular pencil to go over the red outlines, I used a ballpoint pen just because it's nice and dark, and I wanted it to be clearly visible when I used my light box to trace it over afterwards. I actually used a reference for the flowers, the roses, because I've never really drawn them properly before. So here I'm just using my light box. I can't remember the name of it, but it's just like a basic light box. You can also use a window if you want to transfer things. And I'm using a Micron multi-liner. I think I'm using the 0.5 size, or like 0.5 as they write it on the outside. It's like the sepia color. And I never used to like outlining in multi-liners whenever I did pencil crayon drawings, because the pencil crayon would color over top of the black and it would just kind of make it look, it would kind of smear it a little bit and make it look kind of cloudy and really messy. But using the brown one, especially if you're going to be coloring with earthy hues, it actually goes really nicely together because you can color over it completely and like darken it or lighten it, and it's not too dark that it looks bad when you color over it, but it's not so light that there isn't enough contrast around the edges of all the different elements. So I really like using the sepia color to outline. It just adds a more like a softer feel to it, I guess. So to color her skin, I started off with just like a nice purpley shadow just to map out where I want the shadows to be. I wanted it to be kind of lit up from below, almost as if the light was coming from the flowers, but it's a very subtle light source, not as exaggerated as I was originally going to make it, because I liked the way it was turning out when it looked a little bit softer. And then I'm just going over with like a peachy skin tone over the purple, and I'm using this like light, I think the color is called Cream. I used it a lot in this drawing. I might have to actually get a new one soon, and also my white pencil crayon is getting used up pretty quickly, and I'm gonna need to get a new one of that as well. I just hope that they'll have some in the store when I go to buy it in the open stock, because sometimes they don't have every color. So I'm just layering a bunch of different colors, trying to get the skin right. And I've never been able to color lips quite right with pencil crayons, but somehow I like the way the lips turn out in this one. I used like an orangey color, and I thought that would, I didn't realize it would actually end up looking okay, like using an orange for the lips. Usually like pink looks more natural, but I thought the orange kind of matched everything else in the drawing. I was originally going to make the flowers like red or pink or something, but I ended up changing it depending, like basing it off of what I made her eye color to be, which was blue, but you will see that soon. I also struggled a lot getting her skin to be even. I erased a lot of stuff and recolored over things. That's a good thing about pencil crayons. You can always erase a layer of it. The paper will still be stained from it, but you still will have room to add layers and layers of color over top of it when you erase it. You shouldn't do that too much though, because would imagine that it would eventually wear out the paper, but there's still second chances when you're using Prismacolors. So at first I was gonna make her hair like a purpley red, but I just really didn't like the way it was like a purpley brown, and I didn't like the way the brown was looking. I don't know, I just didn't think there was enough. I didn't like the color combination I chose, so I erased it all and just hoped that it would blend in at the end. I tried coloring it again and it still didn't really work, so I erased it again. And yeah, I ended up using this red called like Tuscan Red. It's one of my favorite pencil crayon colors, just because it's so dark and it just works really well with like pinks and reds and browns, and it just makes it look nice and neutral and earthy. So I really enjoyed working with that. I'm using a combination of the Prismacolor Premier Softcore pencils and also the Verithin ones, because for the hair I wanted the lines to be sharp, and the Verithin pencils are really good for making things nice and thin and sharp. So I used those for all the outlines, and then for like the shadows, and once I wanted to blend it all together I used a softcore one, and they actually work really nicely together, probably because they're designed to work together, that's why. I just never really used the Verithin ones to like actually color before, just because I haven't used them that much. They're kind of new. New in the sense that I haven't used them yet. I just use them for like outlining things sometimes, but never with coloring, and I've discovered that they work really nicely when you need sharp lines, which is what they're designed for. Yeah, I just don't know if there's any way to get open stock Verithin ones. I actually don't know. I was wondering that because what if I run out of a color that I really like? Like, is there any way to get that color back? Because I've only ever seen the softcore ones in stores before, not the hard lead ones. So maybe you have to buy the whole pack again to get the other color. I haven't researched this, so it's probably not the case. You can probably get them somewhere in the open stock ones. My original plan for her hair was to have the top of it kind of cropped off, but I ended up rounding it off, and I know her head looks a little bit too small, but in the final result I end up cropping her head off, and I just adjust the crop to the way I envisioned it. Also because the whole thing wasn't small enough to scan, but it worked out really nicely because the area that it could scan was the area that I envisioned it showing anyway, so it actually helped the composition, the fact that it couldn't scan the whole thing. I did a lot of tweaking to her hair because I felt like it just wasn't sharp enough, like the shadows didn't contrast enough with the highlights. So I kept going back in with the darkest color and just going over it and trying to make the lines sharper. And the color that I used to blend it all together was the same color I used on the skin. It's called Cream. It's just this really nice light yellow buttery kind of color. And I think it just works really nicely when you want to do like yellow highlights for things, and it just can help to tie the whole drawing together when you use the same color to do the highlights. It just brings it all together and makes it all work nicely together. The flowers were actually pretty tedious to color. I didn't enjoy it too much because at this point I had a blister right on my thumb, on the inside of my thumb, and it really hurt to color because this whole process took me about 7 hours. So it was a lot of, I press really hard because I want to get it nice and smoothly blended. So that's why I started to get a blister. But I think it's healing now. It still kind of hurts. I don't want to do any more pencil crayon work until it heals. And I like to take breaks between different mediums. So I'll go between Copic, and then I'll want to do some digital, and then I'll do pencil crayon. Then I want to do digital again, and then I'll just sketch for a bit, and then, oh, I want to try out my paints again. I think variety is the spice of life and also the spice of artwork. It's just good to experiment, and I get kind of bored of the same medium over and over and over. I don't know if that's just me, that I get bored of the same thing. Usually digital art I don't get too bored of, but like things like pencil crayon I can get bored of because I find it fun at first, but then I find it really tedious. So I'm just, at this point, my blister was really hurting, so I did the base coat of the leaves with Copic markers and then just colored it over with the pencil crayons. I know it's kind of out of frame sometimes because I was zoomed in so far I didn't realize that I kept moving it out of frame, but the leaves really didn't take me too long, so you're not missing much. So here is the final drawing. I hope you enjoyed seeing the whole process for this, and I hope you'll subscribe to see more. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.